Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Vero Advisors live stream, where we go live to talk about all things digital transformation in the public sector every Wednesday at 10 a.m. It's been a while. Shout out to Mr. Abhijit Verakar for doing solo lives for the last 3 weeks so that I could catch my breath. Small plug, I am hiring for a business development manager. So if you guys know of anybody, please let me know. If you are joining us today for the first time, just real quick, who are we? Avero Advisors is an independent third-party consulting firm specializing in IT strategic planning, ERP consulting, and business process re-engineering for public sector agencies. So thank you for joining us today. And if you are joining us, please make sure you comment and ask questions. We have an exciting live for you guys today, where we are celebrating some very strong, independent female leaders who I have the joy and pleasure to work with every single day. So with me today, I have Krista Prezuro, who is a director of client success. Krista, good morning.
Good morning.
And I have Tabitha, who is an associate consulting professional who is working on project delivery teams on several different projects. And so I'm just excited for you all to hear their perspectives and hear their journeys of how they got here, in particularly in a very male dominated field. So we just celebrated International Women's Day. And so I thought it would be a very unique idea to celebrate the women and leadership within our organization. So thank you for joining us. All right, let's get started today. And really, Krista, Tabitha, I know you guys are new to the live stream. So just whoever wants to go first, tell us a little bit about yourselves and how your journey led you to Avero Advisors and the positions that you're currently in.
So I'll start. My experience and passion for project delivery, technology, and consulting really aligns with Avero's mission to modernize local government operations. I enjoy leading cross-functional teams, streamlining processes, and ensuring there's adoption that really has meaningful impact. So my journey started, I've been in IT for my entire career, started out very technical and programming, and moved into project delivery, and kind of moved with technology, with hardware implementations and software implementations, and then made a very conscious effort to get into leadership and executive roles. So that's a little bit about my background, where I started.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. Tabitha?
Yeah, actually, my journey started in psychology and social work, and working through that actually allowed me to see how imperative it was for IT to be involved and to be able to do the job at the base level and at the level that I was doing it at the time. And it actually allowed me to start dipping my toe in the pool, so to speak, and starting to try out some of the industrial and organizational psychology. That actually allowed me to kind of see that I was actually very good with organizational management and implementation. And so I used that and started looking into places where I could actually put that to good use. And I saw how imperative it was to be able to have a seat at the table for everyone involved. And I really enjoyed being able to start that journey with Avero.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. If you're joining us today, again, please comment, ask us any question. We love to hear from you guys, and we like to keep this content very engaging. Additionally, make sure that you download our 2025 GovTech report. In the upper left-hand corner, there is a QR code, so just scan that with your cell phone and make sure you download for all of the latest and greatest in GovTech digital transformation in 2025. Real quick, I'll share briefly about my journey to Avero. It's a little unique in that I spent a little over 8.5 years in the private sector in finance. I was a private client banker, and really I grew up at the bank. And during that journey, I had some very, very strong women who led me and who challenged me to have a voice, to have a voice not only internally, but also externally. They helped me gain confidence and learn how to have a seat at the table. And because of that, I found Avero. I met AV during my finance journey, and he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And so I bring that up because Avero challenges me every single day. There's not a day that I don't walk in this office and I'm presented with a challenge, right? And those challenges have been so rewarding because, again, it's taught me how to be a vice president, right? It's taught me how to have autonomy and to put my creativity to use and to present that in a way that's acceptable for everyone to hear, right? And in turn, I'm helping so many people. You help organizations modernize and become more efficient. You're touching the lives of thousands of people every single day. And that's really why I do it. But Avero has allowed me that opportunity. And I never dreamed in a million years that I would be leading business development as a woman vice president in a digital transformation consulting firm. So I'm very excited for that opportunity. But let's dive in, guys. I have some questions for you all. So your leadership journey in GovTech, has been founded on modernizing local government operations to an extent, right? And so how has that in particularly shaped your career? And what role has Avero played in shaping that career for you? Anybody? You want to take a stab
Sure.
at the first question?
Yes.
Maybe talk a little bit about what Avero has done for you, just as a woman in leadership.
As a woman in leadership, Avero has been extremely supportive, honestly. They have allowed me to be able to interject in the conversation, to actually have a role in the meaningful change that's happening, and to have input and use. I've seen them use each and every individual that works for us. I've seen them use each of our backgrounds and knowledge and know how to the best of their ability, and also to be able to put that to use with our clients and be able to kind of drive that and allow that to be a driving force with our clients for the betterment of each of our clients' employees and each of our projects that we work with, which really helps give a more well-rounded, I believe, a more diverse and more project specific avenue for each of our clients.
Yeah, no, that's great, Tabitha. I couldn't agree more. Um, we are at the forefront of technology, right? And we are at the forefront of helping these organizations modernize so that their jobs become easier. And I think this is an opportunity to tie in also my personal journey as well, because I think, a real defining moment for me, particularly in our space, was the realization that I didn't have to be the techie, right? AV is so good at public speaking and speaking the language, and he can get in the weeds with the best of them, right? And when I initially started, I thought, man, that's who I need to be. And so much so that when I would go give a sales presentation or when I would jump on a live stream, I would try to be AV because I thought that that's what I needed to be, in particularly in this space, right? I needed to speak technically. But the reality of it is a lot of our clients, or very few of them, and I'm not knocking our clients, they're great. Very few of them understand what it takes to transform digitally, right? Whether it's an IT strategic plan or they're overhauling their ERP system, some of the terminology is really hard to understand and the processes are really hard to understand. And so I feel like my defining moment was really honing in on who I am and how I translate that technical knowledge in layman's terms to our clients. You know, we're really good at meeting our clients where they are and holding their hand through the process. So Tabitha, specifically for you, do you feel the same? Have you seen that work where, you know, we really hold our clients' hands? Is that how we approach our projects and delivery?
Absolutely. I've actually seen Avero reach out and say, hey, we need a few people from this area we haven't been able to speak with, and really kind of walk them through the process. And if somebody's confused or something didn't get quite explained well about this process and they're a little nervous about it, Avero and the company as a whole, but also each individual person, takes time to really explain that to them and really make sure that they're comfortable with the process and where we're going, and then also take the input if they're not, as to how we can do it differently for them.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Krista, do you have anything to add on this topic?
I was just going to add, creating a space for women to feel comfortable. When I was looking at where my next role was going to be, one of the first things I did was go to the website, and seeing women being represented on the leadership team gave me that confidence that this was a place where I feel like I could excel. So that was really important in my journey at Avero, and seeing that, and then seeing it in practice.
Yes, absolutely. AV's here, and he says 60% of Avero's exec leadership team are women. We are truly a women-led firm. As a girl dad, that makes me smile big. Yes, it's so important because you very rarely see that in any industry, and so being able to have that opportunity is not something that I take lightly. Right? I want the next generation to have the power and have the confidence to stand in front of a camera or stand in front of the executive leadership team and have the confidence to promote their ideas and be heard at the table. And so, like I said, I'm so excited for what we're doing at Avero, and I'm very blessed to be able to lead with women like you all. So let's see. Mick says, what has been your most rewarding experience in working in GovTech? Who wants to take that one?
I'll take a stab at it. So for me, it's really providing support to the teams that are going through massive digital transformation, and easing their nerves and being there every step of the way to make sure that they're comfortable, and help guiding them through their journey. And just being a part of that is extremely rewarding, so that they can better serve their communities.
Yeah. Yeah. Tabitha, anything to add?
Absolutely. I completely agree with Krista. I truly and thoroughly enjoy being able to work with our clients and watch them be able to use technology to lessen the amount of time that they're having to do for the day-to-day, manual things on the computer, and be able to spend more time doing the rest of their job. And the reward with that, of seeing them be able to have time to do what they were wanting to do with that position in the first place, is really very rewarding for
It
me.
really is. And you bring up a great point, right? I mean, I keep going back to the understanding of why we do what we do, and trying to sell that service is very hard, right? Because why would we use tax dollars, excuse me, to pay for a service that we don't even know that we need, right? And I'm speaking for the agency itself, and much less understand. But when you see that work come to fruition, it's amazing to see the difference that it makes. I mean, we've done some process redesign specifically internally, right? And it's really hard to dig yourself out of the day to day to really take a holistic view of how you're doing business. And so a lot of times when we go into organizations, they don't know what their process is because they're just doing the work to get it done, right? So helping them try to define that and see the overall vision and strategy of how their lives can be easier is very much rewarding. So I couldn't agree more. My most rewarding experience in working in the GovTech industry, again, is being able to translate the technical language and not be so technical to our clients. It really is about change and about helping them understand, like Tabitha mentioned, how their lives and how their processes can be easier so that they can hone in on their strengths and their creativity and do something with those positions that they were hired to do, as opposed to just being very paper based and being so much in the weeds every day to get things done. So I couldn't agree more. Thank you, Mick, for your question. We really appreciate it. And guys, again, I'm going to tap in here and say, please comment. We want to hear your comments. If we don't get to all of your comments today, we will make sure to go back and respond to you. But we want to hear from you. And I'm trying to reach my women here on my follower list. We want to hear from you guys. What have been some of the challenges that you've experienced as a leader in your organization? So please comment in the comment box. All right. Next question. What inspired you? This is kind of along the same lines, but in terms of inspiration, what inspired you to step into this role, particularly in government technology or technology in general? And how do you see firms like Avero creating opportunities for women in local government?
So I stepped into executive role and leadership because I did not see a lot of women being represented in a lot of the organizations. I didn't experience the mentorship I would have benefited from myself. So I wanted to offer those things as a leader.
Mhm.
I've seen how modernizing operations can enhance transparency and accessibility. So firms like Avero support women in local government by ensuring women are represented in leadership roles and have opportunities to drive meaningful change.
Mhm. That's great. Tabitha?
I actually stepped in simply because I was very intrigued. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it when I was working on some of the internal changes and change management that I was working in. But I wanted women to be able to have more of a voice and more of an aspect added to that, because I realized that while the male dominated field is great and brings a lot of value, women also bring value to that in a different aspect. And I wanted to be able to start that and add that in there for everyone to be able to access both sides.
Yeah, I think I've already kind of answered this question. The reason I have this job is because our fearless leader, Mr. Avijit Varakar, shout out, gave me an opportunity and told me that I would be good. And he coached me and he mentored me into what he was looking for and the culture. I mean, I had a lot of our core values, but putting those into play was a little bit different for me, right? I came from a different industry. And I wasn't selling products anymore. I was selling a service. So he really pulled me in the direction that the company is now going. So I want to give that same opportunity, like I said, to the next generation. I want to help women understand that they belong, and that they can have a voice and that they can do anything, absolutely anything that they put their mind to, even if it wasn't in their life goals or even if it wasn't in their career trajectory, right? I took a leap of faith because I believed in our leader, and he has not disappointed me, nor will he ever. So I want to make sure that I give that opportunity, not just to women, but to everyone, but in particularly women. Let's see. We have some questions in the comments, guys. Bent always comes in. He knows Robert, and he says, my favorite woman in tech is Robert. So we'll let him know that you said that, Bent. Thank you. And then Mick says, what advice would you give to a young woman considering a career in GovTech or in the technology space?
I love this question. So, for women aspiring to be in leadership roles in local government and in technology in general, my biggest advice is to stay persistent. Advocate
Mhm.
for yourself. Seek out environments that value diverse perspectives. People tend to hire people and promote what feels familiar. So, if you don't fit the traditional mold, you may have to just work harder to find the right opportunities. So that would be some advice that I'd have.
Yeah, persistence. I like that. Tabitha, what about you?
I'd have to say the same. You have to be persistent, but you have to be authentically you. You can jump out of your own comfort zone and start working and trying different things, but you have to find out what works for you. You have to figure out what you're comfortable doing, and when you are, and when you find that balance, you can really start to shine. It may take a little bit, like more. I'm more of a kind of psychological approach with people. And so I like to kind of just give people, time to catch up with me if possible. But I can also stand up and kind of take command of the room and help out if needed and when under time constraint. But I just don't like to tap into that as much because I really like people to be able to have the space to be able to catch up and also make input as well. And so you have to find what works for you,
Mm.
and it may take a little longer, maybe a little faster for some, depending on how you handle it. But overall, once you're you and you're authentically you, it will work itself out, and it will all be completely
I love both
positive.
of those answers. Yes, I keep going back to it was hard for me to find my voice initially in the technology realm just because I wasn't used to it, right? I'd grown up at the bank. I'd spent almost 9 years in the banking industry. So to jump right in to this field, there was a huge learning curve for me. And I tried to be other people. We have some great public speakers and presenters on our team, right? And so I remember just sitting there being wowed by how much knowledge they had and how well they spoke about a project, right? And how they were able to chat with our clients and prospects. And I just remember being like, oh my gosh, I've got to learn those terms, I've got to be them. And in reality, when I tried to do that, it really made me feel icky and it wasn't genuine anymore. And clients and prospects could pick up on that. Even my teammates, right? Could pick up on like, Megan, you sound weird. Like, what are you trying to do? Just be yourself. And as simple as that sounds, it's the hardest thing to do sometimes. It really, because we
Absolutely.
live in a very judgmental world. And we're held to a high standard. So I'm a very energetic, high energy person. And sometimes that can be a turnoff for people. So it's been, for me, it's been finding the right balance, but I've always tried to put a Megan twist on things because that's who was hired for Vero. And when you try to be somebody that you're not, it comes off as disingenuine. And in the long run, you're not going to be happy with anything that you do. And I would say one piece of advice that I would give is to be hungry and seek out opportunities. Don't sit back in the background and wait for them to come to you. Go seek them out and seek out mentorship to help you reach those goals or help you get ingrained with those opportunities. I'll say opportunity, sometimes you have to create the opportunity. So it's about being hungry and having that grit and not sitting on the sidelines like, some people want women to do. And I hate to be like that, but sometimes it's true. Sometimes you have to go and find the opportunities and seek those out. So what else do we
Can I add
have?
something to that too, Megan? It just made
Yes,
me
go
think
ahead,
about,
please.
to your point, like surrounding yourself with a strong network of champions, people who support you,
Yes.
advocate for you, that you can have honest feedback from, and
Mhm.
really have them in your court. I think that's another piece of advice, is to start creating that early on.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, I realized a little bit later. I have it now, and I'm very grateful, and it makes such a huge difference.
It really does. And Krista, I had a very strong woman who was in leadership at the bank. She was an executive who told me early on. She said, "Megan, it's very important that you create an internal and external board of directors, right? Those people that you can lean on, that you trust, that you can go to when you're struggling. Both, like I said, within the organization and then externally outside of the organization. And that was some of that was the biggest piece of advice I think I've ever had in my professional career, because my position at one point was eliminated at the bank, which allowed me to have conversations with AV to come over into the technology space. But had I not had that external and internal board of directors, I would have been completely lost. You need people that you can call on the phone when you've had a bad day. That's not necessarily your family. It can be. But people who have been in a professional setting and who have lived that journey that can give you good advice, both internally and externally. So I love that. All right. Other than being a historically underrepresented demographic, what do you think keeps women out of technology and leadership in tech in 2025? That's a great question, Ben. Thank you for your question. Whoever wants to tackle that first, go for it. What do you think? What do you guys think keeps women away from technology? I think intimidation. If I had to
Yes,
go
sorry,
go ahead, Tabitha.
as a woman, it is kind of intimidating when you walk into a room and historically, you've been taught you need to be this way or that way. For instance, training in advocacy, you are taught, wear your power suit, stand out so that when you speak, you can be heard. And then when you're taught in trial science, you are taught, you need to kind of blend in with your surroundings, not be the one who's focused on, not be the story. And you don't want to offend somebody by being too strong, etc. And doing all of that, and then you walk into a room and it's mostly male dominated, and you're like, am I dressed right? Am I speaking correctly? Am I going to offend somebody with how I've done something? And so it's a lot of inner dialogue, I think, as a woman, you have to kind of overcome and work through. And once you do, it's very rewarding, because honestly, yes, there are some instances of men or even women that just really aren't interested in helping to promote a woman or even another team member. But if you find the right culture, like a Vero, or the right group of people, then you can really rest easy. And once you realize that and you get out of your own head, it can really help move everything forward for you and the company. Because the company hired you at the end of the day, and they want your input. They don't want your inner dialogue, monitoring
No,
yourself.
that's really good. It goes back to, being yourself and trying to, you know, be yourself, but also have a seat at the table. And sometimes it's very hard to do, right? Because you're trying to prove yourself. So that self that's trying to prove itself, what are they saying? Like you're talking about the inner voice. So making sure that you're staying true to yourself, but also, making sure that you have a voice at the table, and that your ideas are heard in a respectful way, right? And sometimes it's
Right.
just hard to just even have a seat at the table because you're being yourself, right? Is what I'm trying to say. Krista, do you have any other input?
Yeah, I think it's also important for women who are in leadership to advocate for
Yeah.
other women, and especially like in meetings where if women are being talked over, to kind of say, hold on, Tabitha was speaking. Tabitha, please continue, and kind of show that that won't be allowed. And then also, if companies are doing what we're doing now, creating that space for us to talk about these things, educating themselves on why it's important to really self-reflect and look at their who's sitting around them at the seat at the table, and do they all look the same? So I think that what keep women out of tech might be the intimidation. I don't know if it's just because of, when we think about the leaders in tech that are all over the media, how many of them are women? So
Mhm.
maybe it doesn't seem like a place where they're going to be welcomed. So I think it's doing things that we're doing here that can help change that.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. Yes, women need to support other women and make sure that their voices are heard in every setting. Because, men, bless their hearts, they don't always think about it, right? They're not being mindful sometimes. I don't think they, sometimes mean to leave us out or to put us in a corner, right? But anyway, I'm all for women advocating for other women. Let's do it. What's the most important lesson you've taken away from a challenging experience in your career? Huh. The most important lesson. I think I've beat a dead horse by saying just staying true to myself. But like I was trying to spit out earlier, and I don't know if I still got my thought across, was, having a voice at the table, but by, remaining true to yourself, sometimes is very hard to tie the two together. Because sometimes as women, I think we feel like we have to go above and beyond to prove ourselves. And maybe that's a little out of our comfort zone, or maybe that's not who we truly are as professionals. So I think sometimes, we do have to work a little bit harder. But the lesson still is to me, be Megan. Don't try to be anybody else.
That's a hard one to answer. The most important, just one that comes off the top of my head would be uh, thinking that working really hard was enough.
Yep.
It's more than just working really hard, right? It's like I said earlier, advocating for yourself, communicating what you're aspiring to be into, and communicate that to whoever you're reporting to, and seek out those opportunities, like you mentioned, Megan. So when I was younger, it was like, okay, I'm just going to work hard. I'll get noticed. I'm going to hope for the best, and that does not work. So
Mhm.
I think that's the biggest lesson that I learned in my career.
Yeah. Tabitha, you have anything to share?
Um, Again, just being authentic. It's hard to walk into a room and um, really advocate for yourself, but at the same time, trying to, and this can be true even in a room full of women, at the
And
same time, trying to monitor who is going to be offended if somebody's, at a higher rank or higher position, or to kind of advocate, and knowing how to do that while maintaining what another person may feel as being respectful or disrespectful. So it's good to know your audience, but at the same time, also being authentic to you and knowing you.
yeah, that's what I was trying to get across earlier, and I don't think it made any sense. But yes, tying those two things together, trying to make sure that you're pleasing people in the room. And I hate being a people pleaser. That's not good advice. I don't think anybody should please
Right.
people, but you said it, you said it
But it
best,
makes
Tabitha.
sense.
Knowing your audience, knowing who they are, knowing how they lead, and being able to tie your ideas while, being true to yourself. No, that's good advice. Um, let's see. What other questions can we answer? We've been talking for a little over 32 minutes. This conversation has been great. Um, let's see. Let's talk about one piece of advice that you wished you had received earlier in your career. I know we talked about what's a piece of advice that you would give a young woman who is looking at a technology career, but what's something that you guys learned early on or throughout your career that really helped shape who you are as a women in local government tech?
I feel like, in addition to just, not just working hard, but seeking out those opportunities, surrounding yourself with a strong network of champions, um, your board of directors, I like the way that you phrase that. Um, it's such a hard thing to go, other than those two things, I think, just challenging the status quo would be maybe another one, and um, matching the energy that you're given by others, match it. Sometimes, it requires that push and pull.
It does. Tabitha, what about you?
For me, it would be it's great to be patient, but don't be too patient.
Mhm.
Sometimes I can, and I have found over time that being too patient can kind of put you a little too far on the back burner, and then you feel like you have to fight or do more to combat that and come back from that than if you'd have started a little sooner.
Right. Um, don't be complacent in anything that you do. Don't get stagnant. Always continue to learn. And that's for anybody, not just women, but um, confidence. Confidence is something that even I still struggle with, right? But when you have confidence, I feel like you grab the attention of everyone in the room just because of how you carry yourself and um, the tone that you set when you walk in the door. So hold your head high, be confident, prepare for things when you have to go into that room full of executives. Make sure that you have a bullet list and things that you want to address. But most importantly, gain that confidence needed. And if you need help with that, please reach out to me. I have a lot of tools that I use because the women before me helped me gain my confidence. And so if you guys can imagine, I still struggle with that because I am intimidated sometimes. Sometimes I have to pinch myself that I'm a vice president now, right? But having the confidence when you walk in the room and setting that tone is such a game changer. And you gain confidence by being prepared. So that's what I would say. As we wrap up today, I do want to close with your all's thoughts just on the topic of celebrating women. Why should we do it? Why should women support other women? Why should we even be talking about this? What are your all's closing remarks as we wrap up today?
Honestly, for me, why we should support women is we bring value and a different perspective. I once went to a conference where they were explaining it and they said, and of course, this is the psych portion of me, but they said
Love.
men's brain have different boxes and they pull out the drawers and then put the drawers back in and none of the drawers overlap. And they said a woman's brain kind of connects everything all the time, all at one time. And
Mhm.
you're always trying to figure out and chase the woman's brain around. And they said, but it brings value to have both the organization of this is what we're talking about right now and the connection of, okay, but we've connected all of these other things over here and this is how I can help. So joining those two and merging those two different styles really brings a vast assistance to not just the company, the team, but the people that they serve.
Yeah, no, I love that, Tabitha. And not just women, we've got to be diverse. We've got to allow everyone a seat at the table. Um, Everybody, despite gender, despite race, ethnicity, we need everyone to have a seat at the table because everyone comes from different walks of life. Everyone has ideas, and it shouldn't matter what you look like or what you identify as. We all have ideas to share, and we all have creativity and things, strengths, right, that we bring to the team. So, Krista, any closing remarks today?
Just that I agree with both of you.
Yeah.
It's such an important question. I would need a little bit of time to really think about it to have to
Yeah.
feel like I'm saying something really strong and impactful. But it's just, why not? Why wouldn't you?
Mm.
You know,
Right.
um,
Oh, I think
so
that's great.
so yeah, let's just continue to support each other and help each other and be a voice and be a resource
Yeah.
to others.
And guys, we're stronger together, right? We're stronger together. Women, let's stop competing against each other and let's start helping each other because we finally are in a place where we do have a voice and we need to continue to help make that voice stronger. And we can only do that by supporting each other. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining me today. This has been so fun. I love my women. I love Avero, and I'm so glad we were able to celebrate women today. If you are joining us or if you're watching this later, please make sure that you download our 2025 report where we talk about all things trending in the digital transformation space, particularly for public sector. So make sure you make sure you download that and scan the QR code in the left-hand corner. And then we are active on all social media platforms. So if you have any questions for us, if you want to continue this conversation offline, please make sure that you reach out to us. We're always available via phone or, as AV likes to say, send us a letter. But please message us, reach out, comment. We're happy to chat about all things. So thank you guys for joining me today, and we'll chat soon. Bye.
Thank you.